Hey guys, welcome to another movie review. Sorry this review is so late. I was originally going to review this during the opening weekend of this film, but I got just crazy busy with work and I just didn't get around to it until just recently. So sorry about the wait, you guys. For those who follow me on Facebook, I definitely posted something basically right after seeing this movie, and I'm not even posting the review until about now. So sorry this review is so late, you guys. But my review today is going to be for Lego Movie 2, the second part. This is a sequel to the 2014 hit from 2014. You can tell I'm definitely out of it from work for sure. But yeah, this is an animated sequel that's a sequel to a big hit, and this film basically takes place exactly where the last Lego film left off. So if you saw the first Lego film, I would make sure you see that movie before this one. Simply because it is one of those sequels where it does pick up right at the minute that the last movie left off on, all the way back in 2014. So it's kind of like what Incredibles 2 did for those who saw that. It basically starts at the very last minute of the previous film. So make sure you see that first one before seeing this one. But in this movie, you guys, what the overall synopsis of this film is about, and like in all my reviews, they're spoiler free, so I won't spoil anything for you guys if you still haven't seen Lego Movie 2 yet. But throughout this movie, the Lego Duplo, from the events of the first film, left this apocalyptic mess for the Lego world, and they're basically trying to tolerate it. They're trying to rebuild. Characters like Emmet, voiced by Chris Pratt, is trying to get everything back to the way it was before they invaded. And so, coffee shops are very, Mad Max like. People roam the wasteland trying to figure out what they can do to kind of restart and rebuild and things like that. Batman has more of like an apocalyptic warrior kind of look to him now. Um, so I would say the Lego world itself really doesn't go for a good change until another invader from another planet arrives. And basically only wants to recruit the best of the best. And Emmett gets offended by this because he is not chosen for that. And so throughout the course of this movie, this alien creature from a different planet that's not from that Lego Duplo planet from earlier um, offers these peace offerings to the Lego characters. It's kind of suspicious. They don't really know what's about. It's something kind of hidden under the surface that's really not revealed right away. And these Lego characters are trying to figure that out for those who did get chosen to be recruited for this invader who came to the Lego world and so forth. Throughout the course of this film, we figure out what exactly this different invader wants. How come Emmett wasn't recruited? How come Emmett goes with this other character that we get introduced to with a vest and kind of claims he's a fan of Emmett and so forth? And what exactly does this creature from this other world want? And there's this creature that can basically turn into any kind of Lego form that she wants, whether it's a horse or a butterfly or a slug. And her name is Queen Whatever I Want to Be, I think is what it's called. So something really goofy like that. Very funny character. I'm going to get to that in my compliments here when I get around to that in this review. So throughout the course of this film, we figure out what exactly this invader wants. How come only certain Lego characters were chosen? How come Emmett goes the route that he does and goes with this guy that claims he's a big fan of his? And what exactly is going on in the real world? We were introduced to that in the first Lego film. That gets revisited in this film with a different direction. So that kind of gets revisited again with an animated film with live action elements, and it all comes together in Lego Movie 2, the second part. So overall, guys, I really enjoyed this movie a lot. I will tell you right away, though, I definitely like the first Lego film better. It had more of an impact on me. There was just more to be impressed by. It took me by surprise, and I think that's what the first Lego film had that this film didn't have. Is that had that element of surprise. It really kind of took me off guard. It really did kind of wow me and surprise me in ways I didn't think it was going to do. And obviously, with Lego Movie 2 and with Lego Batman already out and Lego Ninjago already out, the Lego franchise kind of has a hard time figuring out at this point how can we keep things fresh. And they made a great film for sure, but I feel like it's not as fresh as it once was. So I think that's something going into this film that had working against it is there was other Lego films that came out before it, and it's not exactly a fresh concept anymore. But it's still a good movie, and there's things to like about it. So let's go over some positive and negatives as to why I like this film. Not quite as good as the first, but why I still really enjoy it, why I highly recommend it, and what exactly was about it that didn't quite make it as good as that first film. So for my positives for you guys, My first one is there's tons of fun pop culture references in it. There's just tons of fun things that you'll find in it that are definitely kind of in the spirit of the real world. Lego characters view smartphones as kind of like this big high tech device and they don't know what it is. There's other things like that that they kind of play around with in the film. I thought was a ton of fun and kind of in the spirit of the first film, as these Lego characters really don't know what some real world things are, so they kind of make up what it is and kind of view it as like big rare artifacts that can do these incredible things. And I don't know, I thought it was a lot of fun. It's definitely a lot of fun specifically in this film too. And speaking of that, there's tons of fun movie references in this. I would say this is definitely more so a movie heavier referenced film than the first Lego film was. The first one was more so about pop culture references and really kind of making sure that it's about Legos and how the Legos view the real world and stuff like that. This time around, it's more so in the Lego world mostly. There's real world things, there's live action things too. But when we're in the Lego world, there's references to aliens and to Wizard of Oz and Batman and things you would see a lot in the movies and things like that. So I thought there was a lot of fun movie stuff, if you're a big movie person like me, that you'll be able to catch on right away, like Aliens, Wizard of Oz, Jurassic Park, all this kind of stuff. This film is also very creative, just like the first Lego film. They really make sure that it has that feeling like we're watching people playing with Legos, and it kind of has that backyard camp film feeling at some points. If there's a spaceship and it's supposed to be outside somewhere with a kid playing, there's that string on the Lego piece, and we see it flying across this Lego space background, and things like that that are really fun and creative in it, that really make sure to remind us that we are watching motion Legos for this animated movie. There's also some interesting themes that I wasn't expecting in this film, and without giving it away, I am going to touch on what exactly the themes are, but not exactly how the film gets there. So for these interesting themes, they had themes about growing up and maturing and moving on to that next phase of your life while still kind of holding on to the things that made you special to begin with, and how Legos are not just a thing that express individuality like what the first film expressed. Lego Movie 2 also makes sure that Legos is definitely kind of a team effort. There's things in Legos that are kind of better if it's two people working at it, or three people, or four, or a whole family. That's something that this Lego Movie 2 also kind of tries to emphasize. It's not just about individuality, making it your own, but sometimes it's about making it your own and making it accessible to like your family and friends, and inviting them into that world and having kind of their creative input added on to yours and stuff like that. And like I said, there is themes about growing up and when a consequence happens, what exactly is the consequence, and where does Legos kind of fall into that? So there's things like that that they touch on that are kind of hard to explain without seeing the movie. But the way that they're introduced, the way that they're expressed, I thought was very interesting. It was an interesting direction to take, because the first Lego film was all about being a kid and being creative and showing off what Legos can really do in somebody's life. And so Lego Movie 2, I think, is kind of the next step of that, is what happens when that person grows up, when they have siblings, when the siblings want to get involved with what they do with Legos and stuff like that. So there's themes like that that I thought were very interesting that Lego Movie 2 also kind of covers. There's also some fun new characters, and like I said, going back to that Queen Whatever I Want to Be character, very fun character. She has a fun song involving why she doesn't date guys from Gotham City, so that's kind of where Lego Batman works into things. And there's other fun new characters around the way. There's like this little ice cream cone character that's a lot of fun. I kind of like that Space Invader character that comes to the Lego world. And once you kind of find out what her mission is, it makes it more fun and things like that. So lots of fun new characters in this film that I really had a good time with watching in the movie. There's also some fun new songs in this film. One thing I really haven't experienced in a film before, and Lego Movie 2 kind of brought that into the spotlight, I guess, is an end credits song about an end credits of the movie. So I thought that's something kind of interesting they did in this movie that was kind of funny. There's a song about Batman in the film that's also very funny, that references almost every Batman film to date. And like I said, there is a song involving why the Queen won't date certain guys from Gotham City and so forth. So fun new songs in this film. I thought they really had a blast with creating new music for the film after doing such a great job with the first film and kind of following that up with more great music for the sequel. Now, for my negatives of Lego Movie 2, you guys, there's some randomness in the movie that's just kind of worthless and doesn't really go anywhere. So there's just certain moments where, the first Lego film, when it went random places, it kind of had a reason for that. This time around, when it's kind of random, it's just kind of random for the sake of it. So some of that randomness is a little too worthless for me this time around. Also, some of the jokes really don't land in this film, and there's another negative I have with the film I'm going to get to here briefly. But some of the jokes really don't land, and they really don't land, I would say, in like the first 40 minutes of the movie. They're kind of hard to get through on some of those moments. So some of these jokes are really kind of not so great this time around. They get better as the film progresses, but in that earlier half, they kind of don't land very well. For my other negative of the movie, you guys, some scenes just have way too much going on. I remember talking to friends after the movie was over with, and these were friends that saw the film with me and stuff. At times, they're like, there was times in this movie where I really had no idea what was going on, or I had kind of an idea what was going on, but there's like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 things going on at once, and they really just kind of needed to focus and really kind of decide what it's going to be about and so forth. So some scenes have a little too much going on, and they really could have focused on what exactly they were trying to say at certain times. Also, overall, I brought this up earlier. It really is not as good as the first Lego film. It just really doesn't feel as fresh this time around. And I think that's something that's going to hurt this film in the long run. Is it just doesn't feel as fresh as that first Lego film. And then for my last negative, going back to the jokes not landing, this film kind of has a tough time getting started. I would say the first 40-45 minutes of the film really kind of have a hard time getting going. I would say it's not until the plot really kicks into gear where the film really decides what direction it's going to take and what the joke should be and how we get back into the first Lego film without completely repeating it and so forth. So it has a tough time getting started. Once it gets going, it's fine. But until we get there, it has a very tough time getting started. So overall, guys, Lego Movie 2, the second part, I'm going to give this film an 8.5 out of 10. I highly recommend the film. I highly recommend you see it if you love the first Lego film. Just go into this film knowing it's not quite as good as the first film. There's things working against it. There's great things about it for sure, but there's also a lot of things working against it too. So 8.5 out of 10 for me. I enjoyed this film, but go into this film knowing that it's not quite as fresh as that first Lego film.